I've lost track of time. When is it? What day is it? What's going on? Who's on first? Has the multi-universe started? I'm confused.
I feel like the TV
Anyway,
captured me.
huh? Maybe it was Miss Minutes. Hey y'all!
Bro, that was so creepy. That was so creepy. She just like showed up, and I was like, "Are we in a horror? Are we in a horror show now?"
Good evening, everyone. It is 9 p.m. here on the East Coast and 6 p.m. there on that other coast that has a little bit more smog than the East Coast. And somewhere slap dab in the middle is Big Nate. So, I am one of your hosts, Cliff, and this is CNC SciFi Grill. To my left is my brother, Big Nate, coming from the very deserty region of New Mexico. And below us, who is probably scarfing down on something from Starbucks, is
No, it's a homemade smoothie.
As a homemade is Christina, our star and heir apparent, who is coming from sunny, smoggy California. Luckily it's not on fire yet, but it's still kind of early, so we'll see what happens in August.
I have to correct you one thing.
What's that?
We are in monsoon season. It's green out here, brother.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Non-deserty. New Mexico.
For 3 months.
Although monsoon season doesn't sound that great.
It'll be done by early September, and then we go back to desert.
So here we are. At the end of lovely Loki. Season 1.
Season one.
Time out. Spoiler alerts.
I'm not true. I haven't even started on the episode yet.
But
I was going to do spoilers.
I mean, saying season one is
a spoiler alert.
Not really, because it's all over the internet. Yeah. Everybody knows it's been renewed. But okay, that's a spoiler. But let me take us to let me do a brief summary of the first 5 episodes, as brief as we can. So we got our boy Loki. As everybody saw in Avengers Endgame, Monsieur Hulk doesn't like stairs. And because he doesn't like stairs and Tony Stark is oblivious to his surroundings, the Tesseract got knocked into Mr. Loki's hands. Loki said, well, nobody's looking. I'm out. Peace. Which brought him into the attention of the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, who is in charge of keeping the sacred timeline.
Glorious purpose!
But the TVA seems to be having a problem. So we have to do a whole lethal weapon. Let's take the criminal that has broken the law and pair him with the straight company man to save the sacred timeline. Now, the problem we have here is the person they are trying to stop from destroying the sacred timeline is a Loki variant. But it's not just any old Loki variant. It is out of all the multiple universes there are out there, it's the only female Loki. Because we have seen a Mongolian Loki, a African Loki, a young Loki. There's even an alligator Loki. But for some reason, out of all the millions of variants that have been pulled, this is the only female one. So anyway, long story short, where we last left our intrepid heroes, because now Loki is working with Sylvie to bring down the TVA, is Mobius, who was his partner, went back to the TVA to bring down the TVA and let everybody know what's going on, how everybody in the TVA were basically pruned from their own universe and and are actually variants working for the TVA, and the Timekeepers did not create them. And we'll get to that. And then they've enchanted the Cloud Guard dog, and that just allows them in. So that is and of course, old Loki, classic Loki, gave his life, so we think,
Glorious purpose.
in a glorious battle to defeat Eliath, who is the Cloud Dog. So that Sylvie and our Loki, I don't even know if he's our Loki. Our Loki is technically dead, but it's the Loki that we know. It's basically the Loki from Avengers. Is basically what we're gonna say.
But our dog Cloud Elias eats all matter and destroys it. So he gave up his life.
Mm-hmm. As far as we know, he could have did like he did with Thanos. He could have did that.
Oh, an illusion. That's an idea.
I mean, he did. The man conjured a whole Asgard. Come on.
You said
it wouldn't be too difficult for him to, conjure another version of himself before Eliath ate him. But before we get into episode 6, which is the end of Loki, we will say that there are spoilers coming, as Big Nate alerted, and Christina has alerted. Also, Snape killed Dumbledore, just so everybody knows. Oh, wait, I gave that away. I'm sorry, my bad.
Darth Vader is Luke's father.
Oh my God, why are you telling everyone that? Jeez, nobody knows. Just like, that's just like telling somebody that Rey is a Palpatine. That's just mean.
Yikes.
Mean-spirited.
Mm-hmm. So let us get started with episode 6. And what is nice, they gave us a little recap, but also the beginning of it had quotes from all we know of the current Marvel universe. In other words, they had Black Panther.
In the Sacred Timeline.
Right. They had Black Panther yelling out Wakanda Forever, rip Chadwick Boseman. They had a dance-off from Guardians of the Galaxy. They had Steve and Carter's music playing in the background, which was very nice. Yes, sir.
Also, when Steve fought Steve.
Mm-hmm. America's ass.
America's ass.
They did have Loki also repeating his last words before he died in Endgame, which was "We have a Hulk," which is also the kind of the last words Loki heard from Tony Stark. So
then after they did all of the voices, then they went into
modern quotes.
Then they went in modern quotes
from our world.
From our world, Nelson Mandela,
Greta,
Maya Angelou, Greta Thunberg.
Mm-hmm. So it was pretty powerful. I don't think all of these are going to open like this. This was just the way for them to say, these are. So the question is, are our universes intertwined with the Marvel universe? I guess is what it's trying to poke at. So they open with that, and then the first scene is Loki and Sylvie standing in front of the lovely, very old building that is the castle of Doom that Eliath was hiding, and the door just opens. They didn't go knock on it. They were sitting there like, okay, what's the plan? And she's just like, we're just gonna go in. And he's like, are you sure about this? And she's like, oh yeah, we're just going in. So they go in, and then our favorite person returns, which is Miss Minutes, and shocks everybody because she just says, hey y'all. So it was almost like a horror scene, and everybody's like, oh Lord, please don't tell me Miss Minutes is the villain out of all this. But then they're standing there and the elevator opens, and I was hoping it was going to be turned out to be, which is which Miss Minutes actually hinted to, which is He Who Remains. What was it? What I thought it was He Who Remains. What was it?
He who shall not be named.
Oh
no,
he doesn't have a name. You're right, but we know him as Kang the Conqueror.
Even though he's technically not Kang the Conqueror, because he's a variant of Kang the Conqueror.
Well, yes, and we'll get into that. It is Kang, although he's just called on the TV show just He Who Shall Remain. He Who Remains. Yes, and he's kind of based on Immortus, from the comics,
And that's what I was about to
Immortus.
say. Thank you for saying that. I was going to say this particular version of Kang is more based on Immortus because if you look at his dress,
Motivations.
no, but if you look at the dress, he's dressed like Immortus. If you look at the way he speaks, he's not all about just slice your head off. He was more sly. It was based more on the intelligence of Immortus versus just the slaughter of Kang the Conqueror. But go ahead.
And he is played by Jonathan Majors quite well, in fact.
Ridiculously well.
He is just, he takes it, he kind of takes the role that I would say that Richard Grant did with old Loki, with classic Loki, which is he took it and made it himself and became a part of it. I would not be surprised if he gets some nominations for just for this little performance that he did just in this. Yes.
I mean, didn't Don Cheadle get a nomination for like?
Yeah, and he was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier for 5 minutes. Was it even 5?
Not even. It was like 2 minutes.
Okay. One of the things I did my research for this episode. And I went and checked, and there were alternate endings that they decided not to go with in the last minute. And one of the alternate endings.
So that's our boy, Jonathan Majors, as
Immortus. AKA Immortus. And so, but what they did, the first version, I don't know what all that is, but the first version was actually supposed to be a fight between Sylvie and Loki versus Miss Minutes. And Miss Minutes was supposed to do, it's a deleted scene.
Okay.
And Miss Minutes was actually going to recreate all of the conquerors, all of the best fighters out of the Avengers, and they were going to have to fight all the Avengers all over. And they deleted that scene.
Interesting.
But that would have been kind of dope. They fighting Miss Minutes. That would have been dopey, dope. I like that they did it this way instead, but that would have been dope still. Because Miss Minutes was mad evil. She was like, "You can have."
She's an AI. She's an AI. He told her what to say.
Yeah, but look what happened with Jarvis. They can develop personalities.
This is true.
What I'm saying is,
that was so creepy.
She was
also
evil.
Where did she send what's her face?
We'll get
there.
We'll get there.
Because I got a theory on that too. But anyway, so then we get up there and we run into Immortus, aka Kang, and of course Sylvie is straight gung ho, want to chop his head up, stab him up. I was like, look,
yes, she became the Star-Lord.
Literally.
Of the show. She became the Star-Lord of the show. But in her defense, what did she say was her motivation in episode 3? And perhaps everybody has forgot about that. What did she say she was going to do?
Tear it down.
She was going to tear it down.
Yeah.
And she stayed true to that.
It's very similar to what happened with Daenerys in Game of Thrones. She said she would take what she wanted with fire and blood. She said that all 7 seasons. Y'all expected her to be some benevolent ruler at the very end? No.
Yeah, but you're supposed to be able to adapt and overcome. But we'll get there later.
No. We lost you. We lost your video anyway. Okay. All right. Should we? We'll mute you.
Anyway. And so Sylvia immediately goes to try to kill him. And he's just using.
He messed with her.
He kept resetting her and kept resetting her. And he's like,
No. He didn't reset her. He moved himself.
He moved,
because he knew what she was going to do. Because he knew up to a certain point what was going to happen. So every time she swung, he was like, yeah, really? And he'd move. And she wasn't very intelligent to begin with. Not in this anyway, but we've seen that before from her when she gets on target. She doesn't think as clear as she normally does. And he already, this guy has been keeping the timeline and running the TVA from the background for we don't know how many years because
Centuries.
time. Well, we don't know because time passes differently through everything, and they have no idea how long she's been running this, and she thinks she's just going to run up and stab him.
Is good enough to just go run up and stab him.
Yes,
and he would just keep bouncing or move around and moving, and I was like, how cool is he that he keeps eating his apple in the elevator? I was like, my man.
Y'all do know that is a old trope, right? Of a villain showing up, eating a fruit or something, talking mad crap, and the heroes can't do nothing to him. I mean,
I understand that's classic,
mm-hmm.
but the issue is Jonathan Winters, his last name?
Majors.
Jonathan Majors took an old trope,
mm-hmm.
took a standard, and became ridiculous with it. That was the beauty, is that he took something that has been done and made it so incredible that he made it his own.
Mm-hmm.
My man acted his ask me no questions off in this role.
So basically, Immortus is not, he is Kang, but he's a future Kang. So what that means is Immortus' idea is he, in the comic books anyway, Immortus saw that everywhere he went, there was pain and suffering, and that everything he did as Kang did not help anything. So he decided to basically remove himself from the situation, and he started killing off all the other Kangs throughout history. And that's basically to a point of what Mr. He Who Remains did. So it was a nice little story of how they met, how all the other Kangs were smart enough and they met. And then they start, after a while, what happens, not everybody is good, but unfortunately as humans, and he is technically a human, he's just a human from the 31st century, which they didn't really get into, but he's from the 31st century. They started infighting because that's what we do. And the funny part is you're basically fighting yourself. How's that any different than what we just saw in Loki in episode 5?
Yeah. I mean, it's really not.
No, it's not. So he decided, or he was smart enough to basically win the battle by cutting everything off and cutting the universe off by keeping things on a straight line. Or that's how he did. That's what the sacred timeline is supposed to do. It stops all the other multiverses from existing. I don't know if it stops them from existing or just cuts them off from ours. Yes.
But remember one very important thing. What was his motivation?
His motivation was to keep everything.
His motivation was he was afraid when she said, "What are you afraid of?" Me.
Yes.
All the versions of me. His motivation was because he knew he couldn't trust the other versions of him.
Right. There's much worse versions of him.
And those versions would now create a cataclysmic war amongst the timelines. So he was afraid of himself. So in order to do this, he had to keep one timeline so they didn't rise up and take over or have power and make things even way worse than it used to be because they had such a big war from the past.
And one thing that really got me that I think stood out, the whole conversation, Sylvie's still mad. She's still mad about what happened to her. And he just looks at her and yells at her like a dad, "Grow up." Which is something she didn't know how to do because basically they yanked her when she was 8 or 10, and then she escaped because she's smart and have been running from disaster to disaster by herself without any friends, with no one to trust, and this is how she's became.
She's like 10.
Yes. No. So you guys are like, well, how could she do what she ended up doing? Well,
she's never known any.
She's a child,
and
she's still partially a child, and she's single-minded, and she thought it would bring her solace. And I don't know why she hadn't seen from what even the older Loki had said. Classic Loki had said, like, if you give us what we want, no matter what happens, we always seem to mess things up in some form or fashion. Or even, I think it was Kid Loki that was like, every time we get together or try to do something, we end up messing it up.
And look what happened.
Mm-hmm. So while all that's going on, Ravana's talking crap to B-15, and B-15 sitting there like, whatever. You don't know what you're doing. You're lost. And Mobius ends up freeing her, and then Mobius tries to go take on Ravana, which I'm sitting there like, okay, he's gonna get her. And of course, the famous trope of just
we knew he wasn't gonna get her.
No, because he's a desk agent, and she was a field agent before she became a judge. And I'm pretty sure she trained most of the current. She's like, that's like sending a judge to go against Dredd, and Dredd was, a judge from nowadays to go against Dredd, and it's like, yeah, no, that's not gonna end up the way you think it's going in. You're not gonna do anything. And we don't know where Miss Minutes suggested she go, because Miss Minutes gave her information, and she escaped with it, and she left. Yes.
What's your theory on that?
She's probably going to meet another variant of Kang, the one she's going to fall in love with, because she does end up being his lover.
That's what I said. What I said is this Immortus. This is the version I'm calling.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Immortus knew out of all the Kangs, he would know better than anything else which one would make what move where. Mm-hmm. So I think he sent her to that version of that multiverse Kang so that she could get herself set up in power.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the same Kang that we see at the end, but I don't want to get there yet.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's that one. I don't think so. I don't think so.
It is. I think it is.
I think it's a different one. I think it's a different one. Mm-hmm. I think she's going to show back up in Ant-Man and Wasp, Quantonium, with Kang, because that's going to be the full introduction of Kang and not Immortus. And that's why they didn't really name him here. They just said He Who Remains. But he did state, there's worse versions of me. And Sylvie should have known that there's worse versions of people. I mean, she literally just saw. Well, no, she wasn't there when that happened. No, she wasn't there when that happened. She wasn't. That's why Loki. That's why Loki has grown so much, because not only did Mobius stick him in that jail cell in episode 4,
but he also saw all the different versions of him.
Yes, he also saw what happens when all the versions of himself get together.
Yeah.
So, she gets away. Mobius looks like a tool. He frees B-15, and then him and B-15 go about and alerting the time variants of how they're all variants. And then we get to the point where He Who Remains is sitting there, and he goes, look, we've gotten to the end of this story. I don't know where things go from here. So this is what I propose. I propose that you two take over. So Sylvie and Loki take over, because this is what I've been planning this whole time. This is why things are going down this road. And that might be her Nexus event, was she needed to be plucked from there to become who she is, so that her and our Loki can get together. Because they wouldn't have gotten together any other way.
If she hadn't been plucked, yeah.
Yes. So, so he says, I propose that you can kill me, and this will destroy the TVA, but it will also cause things that you have no idea is going to happen, and there's going to be other versions of me that is going to come out and just wreck everything, and you just don't know. There's people much worse than me, or you can rule and do the same thing I did. Now, I think this is where Sylvie got lost, because she thought that Loki wanted it just to rule. And Loki's like, no, I don't think you understand what's going on. He's like, he's not lying to us. This is not what's going on. And she just was not hearing any of it. So I don't know, Christina. What did you think, Christina?
I mean, he said it at the end, like, you can't trust, and apparently I can't be trusted, even though he had spent that whole time doing nothing but help her. So It's like, what more could he have done
Nothing.
But then she spent her whole life not trusting anyone. So there wasn't really anything he could do.
And this kind of goes back to Ravonna, right? Because Ravonna got mad at Mobius for turning on her. And then this is almost the same thing where Sylvie thinks that Loki's turning on her. And he's not. He's just like, look, do you understand what may happen if you do kill this guy?
Yeah.
Yes.
And all she does is
you can jump in anytime, Nate. That's what we was waiting for. You keep looking around, looking at your phone, doing all this other stuff.
Well, I mean, but think about it like this. Loki, remember what was Loki looking at when he was watching the video on the previous episode? He was watching his mother die.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was watching all of the people of Asgard die. And, you know, he's thinking, and I know it's what he's thinking. He's thinking, now, if I take this, I could save my mother. I could save the people of Asgard because I could defeat Thanos. So
I don't know. I think he's changed from that. I think he's grown a little bit.
I don't think it's about the ruling. I think it's about the saving.
Yeah, but if he deviates from that, if he deviates from the timeline that Kang has pointed out, we don't know what's going to happen. And
but
if he
Kang
does it,
said he could make it work.
Okay.
And so I think Loki was like, but look at all the good we can do because this is a changed Loki. Mm-hmm. This is not a power-driven God. This is a man that understands now that all Lokis do are mess up and hurt people. Mm-hmm. And so I think he was thinking about the good. And
but then even with that in mind, like you just said, all Lokis do is mess up. So who was to say that even that would have went the way he would have wanted it to go?
Well, with her there, it would have. That's why that's why He Who Remains got them all together.
Yeah.
Right. So my thing is, so then you have Sylvie, aka the new 2021 Karen, and because she just was like, no. And you know, it was so.
I don't think she's a Karen. I think she's just a child. She's still a child.
She shoved my poor Loki into the wrong universe.
Wait a minute. We haven't even gotten there yet.
But no, I think somebody that who can't see anything but their one point of view.
Exactly.
Is singularly focused. You can say they're childish, but a part of being a Karen is being childish because they're singularly focused. And so my point is that he kept saying, wait, listen. He's not lying to us. I lie a lot. This ain't a lie.
And she should have known that too, because she lies. She lies somewhat, not a lot, but she can tell that somebody's lying, and she just didn't want to admit it.
Yeah.
Because all she wanted to do was fix her pain and she wanted to give everybody free will, and it wasn't really giving people free will.
Not in the least.
No.
You know, and that's the part that pissed me off. And this is the part that I try to tell all the people that want revenge. Revenge doesn't make you whole. It actually makes you more hollow. And so, not trying to jump too far afoot, but after she did the deed she came to do, she looked more hollow. Did you see her fall down?
She was defeated.
She pushed the one person away who actually gave a damn about her.
And then killed this other guy.
And then killed this other guy.
There, he's just sitting there like, well, I'll see you later.
Yeah. Don't know what version of me is going to be, but I'll see you later.
It's going to be, I'm telling y'all.
Oh, yeah. No,
I don't know if y'all have seen Puss in Boots, but there was a part in Puss in Boots where everything that happened to Puss was because of Humpty Dumpty. And Humpty Dumpty kept showing up in all these scenes, all these flashbacks, like he was there the whole time and nobody saw him. And that's how they're going to do, like with the Avengers. Like Kane's going to pop up here, and then he's going to pop up there, and then he's going to pop up doing this, and it's just going to be crazy. But I think this also ties back into WandaVision at the end credits, when she was sitting there doing the spell, and we was trying to figure out how she heard her voice. And that's because the multiverse got created because Kang died. And also, not only that, you got to recall, Wanda's a Nexus herself.
Yeah.
So Yeah. Go ahead, Nate. I'm sorry.
No, I will say I had the same thought. Like, now that the multiverse has been created, her boys are trying to get help, and that's when she hears them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be a great tie-in.
So this does continue with Spider-Man not Far From Home, No Way Home. And this also explains how the 3 Spider-Mans are in the same movie now.
Yep.
So Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and Mr. Hiddleston, Tom yeah. How all 3 of them are going to be in the same movies and Doctor Strange is going to be there. So, and this also explains how what if happens, which starts in August, which is all this stuff happens thanks to Sylvie, and she'll have no idea what she's done.
Oh, of course not.
Until she gets out of there, and I don't know. Is there a way out for her? Oh no, she's got the little thing that he had.
She'll go hide in another cataclysmic event.
Why? She doesn't have to hide. All these multi branches out there. Who's going to find her?
Who's going to go looking for her besides Loki?
And I don't know if she's going to show up, just so everybody knows, in season 2, or if she's going to show up in Doctor Strange with Wanda. Because I have a feeling that Loki and Sylvie are going to show up in that. I
think Hiddleston is confirmed to be in it now.
Okay. Well, I think Sylvie will probably end up showing up, and that'll lead into season 2, like a year later or something. So I think we see the MCU now has bring out, or at least these shows have now brought up who the next big bad is going to be on the same level as Thanos, which is Kang. Yes, the Conqueror Kang, not Immortus, not He Who Remains, but the Conqueror. And he'll show up, and he has a big tie-in with the Fantastic Four. He has a tie-in with Doctor Doom. He has a tie-in with the Avengers. So he's been around a while. And this is why you've never, a lot of people said, well, why have y'all not used Kang in any of the Marvel movies? And this is why. They were saving him for the next phase. And they explained why you never saw him. It's because it was just that one, He Who Remains, out in the TVA, outside of the timeline, manipulating things. And so that's why you never saw him. And now you will.
Well, I think also they wanted to get the right actor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that could also be a part of it.
And my man is brilliant. He is flipping brilliant.
Doing good.
So in a closing scene of the show, before we see that there's going to be a season 2 in the end credits, is Loki runs up to Mobius and to B-15 is like, oh, Lord, she did it. What are we going to do? We got to fix everything. And then Mobius is like, well, who the heck are you? And then we see something's wrong. And then we pan out to the timekeepers, and the timekeeper statue is not there. It's actually a statue of Kang. So he got sent to the wrong universe because of Dum Dum.
And B-15 is calling for security.
Yes.
So it's literally like everything all over again.
But no, it's not. Because if you think about it, the shirt he had on did not have variant on it because that jacket got destroyed.
Oh,
he looks like an analyst. He looks like an analyst.
Yeah.
And that's what Mobius said. He said, obviously an analyst, you're confused. What are you talking about?
So Renslayer might be there. And we did see another Renslayer in the thing. She was a teacher. Right. And we did see where she was a principal or a teacher or something.
That's what she kept getting all the pins from.
What, other variants of herself?
No, she brought them with them when they plucked her out.
Oh, okay. We could tell that she was heartbroken, though, over Mobius a little bit, as much as she could be for who she is before she left him. She didn't prune him. She could have pruned him, but she was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave. So I guess, Nate, I have a question for you. What happens to the people in the abyss?
In the void?
In the limbo. In limbo. What happens to the people in limbo? Because now that the multiverse has been created, what happens to them?
They can get free.
How? I mean, other than Sylvie opening up the portals and sending them back home.
With the shift, we don't know if that end of time creates its own timeline. We don't know if it merged with a timeline. We have no idea.
No. There's multiple timelines now. we saw the branching of the everything. It's no longer a straight line. Everything branches out,
And so
and that goes back in the past
end
and the
of
future.
time could be branching out. It might not be the end of the road anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, since we have no knowledge as to how many branches was made or if they intertwined, they could get out.
This is true. This is true. So, Christina, what are your overall thoughts? Because this was the one you were waiting for since WandaVision, since Falcon and Winter Soldier. Did it live up to what you thought?
100%. Now I see more of what they were talking about in regards to it causing chaos, because that's exactly what it did. It's now set up the next set of movies, the next phase. It's introduced a lot of themes and ideas that we had kind of touched on, but not really. It ties everything in the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, because it kind of tied into what happened in Endgame, where when the Ancient One was trying to explain to Banner why he couldn't have the Time Stone.
Oh yeah.
You know.
So it just shows how good Marvel is at their job.
Mm-hmm. So this also will allow possibly Miss Natasha to come back, although she said she's through with Marvel. Like Black Widow was her last thing.
So I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think she's.
Yeah, but Cap said he was through, but Cap is supposedly coming back. So we'll see.
We shall see. Depends on how much money they offer.
Big Nate, what's your thoughts? Season finales and the first season.
First off, let me address what you brought up. Cap said he was done until he got out there and couldn't get another role. Then all of a sudden, now he's down. Cap got tired. He couldn't cash that big check. Let's tell the truth. You wave enough money in front of somebody, and combined with the ability that he didn't get very many. He didn't walk out and be this amazing leading role model. Leading role.
Well, it's not like Tony. It's not like Robert Downey Jr.
I mean,
honestly,
none of them really did.
No, they didn't.
Right.
And that could be on the part of Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Manipulating things behind the scenes because they want to keep their people.
Regardless of that fact, my man wanted to leave, and he didn't get the super leading man roles he thought he was going to get. So, hey, man, when them checks stop cashing and you've been living fat, and all of a sudden you're not getting those leading man roles that you thought you were going to get because the world said you were pretty, and they say, here's $10 million. Mm-hmm. You reevaluate things. But going back to the season finale was top-notch.
Mm-hmm.
It would not have been top-notch if they hadn't picked an incredible Kang Immortus, because you spent over half of the episode talking.
And I am glad it's not another Loki.
Well, can I be honest with you? Mm-hmm. I'm going to say something that's rude.
Okay.
I'm glad it's not one of the same 20 black actors as in all movies for black people.
Facts.
I'm so sick of seeing the same 20 damn. They went and got somebody that is not in that one little circle, and he's brilliant. That man scared me. How did he scare me being that crazy? That it was his amount of,
and he didn't do anything. He didn't hurt him. He didn't do nothing. He was just the way he talked.
It was the way that he talked.
I mean, it was the way Miss Minutes terrified us, and all she said was 2 words.
Mm-hmm.
It was the man acted to be able to control a scene. Because think about it, we watched many a movie that got boring when they just started chatting. But he kept us
Black Widow. Anyway, go ahead.
He kept us gripped, engaged, and a little fearful. Mm-hmm. Great acting. And that's why I think we didn't see Kang. It's because they had to pick the right person. And one thing I will give Marvel, they always do good casting.
Yes.
Come on now. Who else could have been?
Wait. This also might explain, and because there was something, if you guys notice the Shang-Chi commercial, which that comes out next month, Abomination's in there from Incredible Hulk.
Yep.
Edward Norton's Incredible Hulk. So that's interesting that they brought him back. So I'm wondering if we're going to be seeing him in a Hulk movie. Karen wants to know if he scared the boo-boo out of you, Nate.
No. I kept the doo-doo in this time, Karen. Thank you so much.
This time.
Oh my God. These are, and this is not information I need our listeners to know.
She asked, so I had to explain.
Sweet baby Jesus. Sweet baby Jesus.
No incontinence this time. Anyway, so
God help me. God help me.
But my point I'm saying though is I was so proud of Marvel because when you look at, you look at the Falcon, he's not in that black circle. Mm-hmm. Now you look at Kang, he's not in that black circle. I was so tired of directors picking the same 20 black actors.
Was Don Cheadle in that circle?
Sadly enough, he was.
Yeah.
And that's only because Terrence Howard messed himself up. That's only because Terrence Howard.
But he was 100% in the circle. So Terrence Howard almost ruled that circle. Yeah,
I was about to say Terrence Howard was sitting in the hierarchy of AB.
Yes, because he got paid more than Robert Downey Jr. in the first Iron Man.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he got mad because Robert Downey Jr. was going to be getting more money, or he was expecting more of a something. Yes, Forrest Whitaker for sure. Karen is definitely in that thing because he was in Black Panther.
Terrence Howard.
Mm-hmm.
Denzel. And they go to those same 20 actors for every black role. And even
Tyler Perry for some point, but Tyler Perry at least pulls.
Tyler Perry has the same 6 actors and everything. Brown's been in more movies than you can shake a stick at. The point is that I was so proud of them to say
Samuel Jackson, another one. Yes,
they go to. They're the faithful.
He still got 8 up in Deep Blue Sea, and nobody was expecting it.
Yeah, he did get shown. The point is, but they stepped out of the comfort zone, and they got 2 actors because you got to admit the Falcon, he did that excellently.
Anthony Mackie, yeah,
Mackie did that excellent, and now Kang is a beast. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is, I give them props for giving what I would say lesser known black actors that are not part of that circle a chance, and they killing the game.
Now, Mr. Majors was in Lovecraft Country, which unfortunately got canceled because of HBO.
Season.
I know they got 1 season, but that wasn't his fault. That was HBO doing HBO stuff, and they do that like Netflix does,
But even with Lovecraft, I'm not trying to say was a mega hit. It was good among black people. Black people, based on what it was about, supported it, but it wasn't across the board a household TV show.
And he wasn't a household name.
No, he certainly wasn't. And I think that's what Denzel is trying not to do with his son is trying not to do, which is I don't want to go off of my dad's name. I had no idea when Black Klansman came out that was Denzel's son. I didn't even know Denzel's son was acting. I didn't even, but I wasn't interested in that movie. Yes, and that's the whole idea, right? That we don't know what he's about. So your man, Mr. Majors, is also going to be in Creed 3. Which I know you're a big fan of the Creed series, Nate.
Really big fan. And that's another thing. I'm sorry. My man Baby Creed was not part of that black circle either.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Mr. Yeah.
Because he had the
Killmonger
with Michael B. Jordan. He had the whole debacle with Fantastic Four.
Right.
Oh, God. Dude, why are we even... Oh God, that movie.
But back to my point. My point is that they step out the comfort zone, and that makes me happy. Now, getting back to what I think will wrap up, I'm really happy they use this as a stepping stone to create the multiverse, because now it's a hand in glove thing. Now it understands the fingers. Now you can stick your hand in and literally have the fingers to control Wanda. You have the fingers to control Spider-Man. You have the fingers to control Doctor Strange, and you have the fingers to control season 2.
And you can explain how some people come back. Like you can explain how Cap came back. And since time works differently there, that could also explain how Cap was able to stay behind with Peggy. Because how the hell did the Time Variance Authority not show up
grab him
and grab him? Now that we know what we know.
You know what it also gives us the ability to do?
What's that?
Because, and you're going to help me with this one, Cliff, because I'm stretching my comic book knowledge on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't Kang create the first mutant?
Yes, he captured. So the first mutant was, of course, Apocalypse, as we all know.
Exactly.
But he had his hand in creating him. In other words, pushing him toward being Apocalypse.
And so the first mutant,
as Rama Tut, he did that. Yeah.
And what I'm saying is, so how you can use that all day to finally do X-Men correctly. So, I mean, you take this one multiverse split and create 5 different ability to make 5 different TV shows and movies or more.
Right.
Brilliant.
And that's what I see the difference between DCU and MCU is. And DCU is so disjointed that they have a multiverse now. But the reason they have a multiverse is because the Flash TV show is so different and has no tie-ins to the movie universe.
Yeah.
Same thing with Green Arrow. They're all Green Arrow
the
and
CW
Supergirl.
shows
All the CWs are their own
nothing
universe.
to do with anything.
Yep. And even Supergirl and Flash aren't in the same universe. They're in different universes, which is weird. So Supergirl's universe is different than
Green Arrow and the Flash, because Green Arrow and the Flash have crossovers.
Are in the same. They're in the same universe. Yeah. And I think so is Batgirl might be in Supergirl's universe. I can't remember. But Superman and Lois are not Superman and Lois. It's Lois and it is Superman and Lois. They take place in the same universe as Supergirl. But that being said, I do think this was a good show. We are going to have 2 weeks with nothing until What If starts, except conjecture and stuff like that.
Whoa.
What?
Can we do Black Widow next week?
I was hoping to do Black Widow today, but obviously you have not seen it.
Like, all right, cool. I saw it already.
Dude,
yeah, I already saw
the basketball thing. I'm sorry.
So what I will discuss, though, and that's something that my counterparts here have not watched, but I will discuss it, is 2 movies I saw, because I know you 2 will not go see them. The first one is Fast 9.
I saw Fast 9. Excuse me.
You saw Fast 9. Okay, my bad. So, Christina, let us regale ourselves as Big Nate sits back and shakes his head on the level of physics in these movies, because physics literally dominate
any series that messes
no. This last movie alone made me sit back and go, I need a drink.
If there's any series of movies that messes with movie physics as much as anything else, it's got to be the Fast and Furious series. And right after that is probably like Pacific Rim, because Pacific Rim literally makes no sense.
I
literally did a physics paper on why Pacific Rim makes no sense. They would fall through the planet with how heavy they are. They could not walk.
Big Nate, let me tell you the level of physics in this movie. This man is driving a 2021 Dodge Charger, and he's approaching a rope bridge. The bridge part is out, it's just the rope. He latches that onto his car and does a Tarzan swing.
Onto the other side of the cliff.
Onto the other side of a mountain, across a ravine,
literally like a river. Like a river wider than the Chicago River.
And the car rolls and they walk away with no scratches. The airbags didn't go off. Nothing went off in the car, and they walk out like,
This series is also the king of bringing people back to life.
They had valid. They did kind of explain how he was able to come back, and it kind of made sense. But they didn't really go into how he came back, though. Because just saying the super spy guy helped him fake his death does not really explain how he faked his death.
Not at all. Not at all. Also,
What were you about to say, Nate?
I can't turn my brain off that much.
No. And there was parts that I sat there.
Strapping a literally jet-fueled rocket to a car and flying it on an airplane into the atmosphere and launching it into space.
I also want to know, when did street racers become rocket scientists? This premise, this show.
Spoiler alert for Fast
I'm
9.
sorry, Karen. Spoilers, I'm sorry.
You haven't seen Fast 9.
Okay, Karen, in our defense, you get all this from the trailers. This is literally all in the trailers.
This is all in the trailers.
The person that came back in the trailers. So why even, if you didn't want to spoil the movie, that was a big, it's almost like, no. It's almost like what they did with Terminator Genesis, how they spoiled Terminator Genesis by saying John Connor was a Terminator in the commercial. It's like, okay, your biggest thing that nobody was expecting, you just put in the commercial and just gave it away.
It's like if you put Darth Vader being like, Luke, I am your father in the trailer.
Yes, it was the same thing.
So dumb. See what else happened? That was idiotic.
There was so much stuff in there. Now, what I don't like, and Christina, you saw this at the end. As we all know, Rip Paul Walker, he was awesome.
R.I.P. Oh my God! The way they still throw him in there.
So
I don't understand. I don't get it.
Karen, if you want to drop off now would be the time. I'm gonna give you about 20 seconds before we go into this.
They're at the
While y'all doing this,
I
gotta step out a second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, we'll be here talking shit.
So
kids are at the safest place they could be, Dad. The safest place.
So the whole time that this is going on, because Dom has a son.
Oh God.
And Mia shows up to help Dom.
Without her kids.
Literally
the first
I thought they only had one kid, but I guess now they got two.
Oh, I was literally sitting in the theater. She showed up. I was like, who has the children?
And she goes, they're safe with Brian. We all know that Paul Walker is deceased. And they're still using Mia. They could have cut Mia out.
Yeah.
But I understand why Mia was there, because her long lost brother, who was exiled from the family, came back.
Why was it John Cena? Why was it John Cena?
Well, someone made a joke, which was, how come we never knew? It took 9 movies to find out that Dom had a long lost brother that was exiled from the family, and they were like, well, it's John Cena. You can't see him.
You can't see him. That's so
Get it?
funny.
Everybody gets it? Okay.
So
I'm sorry. That was horrible.
But why was it John Cena? Not that he did bad.
Oh no, he did fine for what
he
his
did
role
fine
was.
for what he was for what the role was.
And people, they had some of the stupidest tropes.
They had the dumbest one-liners. Oh my
God.
No.
It wasn't even that. It was, as a villain, and I hate this in movies, if you're going to turn on your partner, people, you don't do it until the heist is over. You don't do it in the middle of the heist. This wasn't like the Joker in Dark Knight, where he was very smart about it and people didn't know what he was doing. He was study killing people. And by the time he got to the last guy was like, oh, so I guess you're supposed to kill me. And he's like, no, the bus driver's supposed to kill you. And he stepped to the side and the bus hit him. No, they literally, there were so many tropes in there.
I've had a change of partner. What?
Yeah.
Wait
until you've done and he can help you and complete your task, and then you kill him.
I was expecting it because they set it up the whole movie.
And the other thing, what kind of magnets did they have?
Another thing defying movie physics.
These magnets were able to pull,
dragging things through cars and buildings.
They would turn on these magnets, which were more powerful than industrial magnets. They were able to drive past other vehicles and pull those vehicles behind them to the center of the road. Did they pull a building? I can't remember.
No, they pulled a car through windows.
Yes, you're right. That's how they caught Jacob. You're right.
Yeah. And I was like, that's not how that works. That's not how magnets work. Especially because the building itself has metal foundations.
All I'm gonna say is, me and Big Nate's brother, Michael Perry, he has lovingly said he has not been able to turn his brain off for the Fast and the Furious, so he's never watched any of the series. And y'all got to remember that this started off as just an FBI agent invading or going undercover into a bunch of car thieves. Yeah. And they weren't car thieves, they were jackers. Yeah. So they would jack payloads and stuff. And now we're in the super spy territory.
Was it like 6?
Yeah. Yeah. By about 6, it turned into Super Spy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they introduced The Rock. That's what it was.
No. The Rock one. No. The Rock one, they were in Brazil trying to rob the guy that stole from them. So by 6, then it was Jason Statham had come in. And then it started turning into, Jason Statham. Yeah, Jason Statham came in. It started turning into more than a spy. And then Charlize Theron, who I love her. She came in and she really did her role good in this movie. She was as good as she is as Ravonna in Huntsman.
Yeah.
And the Winter Soldier. Not the Huntsman and the Winter Soldier, really. I mean, in Huntsman and Snow White. Yeah, Snow White and Huntsman.
Oh, I didn't realize that was her. Yeah.
Yeah, she is wonderful in all the roles that she does usually. She was good in Old Guard.
Very well.
Oh, she does a subtle evil that is just ridiculous. The other thing I saw, which I don't know if Christina or Nate's going to see, which is Escape Room 2. I saw that today. You do have to see the original. So I'm going to tell y'all now, it's going to be spoilers if you're watching or listening to this. So we're going to discuss this. So turn us off now. But we're going to be discussing Escape Room just a little bit. And I don't know. I don't think Christina's going to want to see this anyway. It's not really her speed. She's not really into the type of thing it is. So, but there are spoilers now. Sorry. So Escape Room 2 kind of takes off where Escape Room left off. And for those that haven't seen the original Escape Room, which came out 2 years ago or 3 years ago, basically it's a group of people. They go to an escape room. They don't know each other. They got invited because they solved these puzzles. Well, it turns out that an evil organization, as always there is holding, basically, they're killing people in the escape rooms. And if you don't escape, you end up dying. That's the rules. And only one person can survive. And they're betting on who's going to survive. So that's how the escape room plays out. And it kind of continues in number 2 because the survivors, because it was 2 survivors instead of 1, because it was they did kind of like the Hunger Games thing. Well, she didn't sacrifice herself, but she pretended like she was dead. And so the guy thought the guy didn't think he had won, but the game runner had thought they had defeated everybody and he was about to kill the actual winner for whatever reason. But then she shot and killed the game master and said, "Nope, I'm not dead. Fuck you." And they ended up escaping. So she is fixated on bringing down this company. And I'm sorry, but any company that can design the rooms that these people are in, they almost are in whole cities and they've hijacked train cars and nobody has called them. And for her to not believe that these people would be able to get away with this stuff amazes me. It's like they have so much money and you think you're going to catch them and you're never going to. That's basically, and that's one tire trope I get tired of too, is at the end, me and my wife are sitting there like, you're not out of this, right? You're still stuck in this. And she's like, okay, I'm ready to get on a plane, because she had a fear of flying because her parents died, or her mom died in front of her in a plane crash before she went into the first panic room. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to finally get on that plane. And I was like, oh, you stupid, stupid lady. Did you really think everything would be tied up so neat in a bow? Like you would catch this evil organization and nothing. And no. Yeah, come on. Come on. So, and in the end, they basically like, we in this game when we want to. And they hijacked a whole plane. And that's where the movie ended. There was no end credits. The last thing you see is her stuck on the plane, a plane full of people. This wasn't a night flight. This was like a whole plane full of people. So I don't know how that's going to end up. But it's been an interesting weekend. I caught up on a lot of movies. Me and Christina, as mentioned, did watch Black Widow, which was excellent. Although I will say it's a little bit slower than some of the other movies. There's lots of action.
Yeah, but I agree with the pace that they did because it's Black Widow. Mm-hmm. It's not like.
Well, it's on the pace of the Captain America Winter Soldier movie. Almost. Yeah.
And it's not like she's Tony Stark who just dives into everything. Like she's an assassin. It's supposed
and a spy. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I thought it was good. Yelena is amazing.
Yes, and she'll be back. I'm sure, as we all know. But we won't get into that because Big Nate wants to talk about that next week, so we won't go into that. So some things that came out, the next Space Jam, the next Space Jam with LeBron just came out, and everybody's like, y'all do know this is for kids, so y'all getting mad at the edit. And I sat back and I thought, and replied to people, I was like, y'all do understand that unless you show your kids Looney Tunes or Bugs Bunny, they don't know who those characters are.
They I think that they should have played more to the older kids or like people my age, because we know who Looney Tunes is. We saw the first Space Jam. The first Space Jam was extremely was a comfort movie for us. So I don't know why they didn't play more into that instead of making it just a kids movie.
Right.
Because they probably would have got a lot more money.
And even that one was a little bit. It was hokey, but it was a little bit. It was geared toward the parents and the kids. So it was a mix.
But this one apparently is just all cheese, and it's like.
Well, Don Cheadle's in it too. So, and they're Big Nate's point. That's another thing where went to that same group of black actors. So there's that. So next week we will discuss Black Widow. If Big Nate goes, actually, there will not be a show next week. And the reason there's not going to be a show is that me and Big Nate will not be in a area to actually do a show. And I probably will not be conscious enough to do a show. I'm sorry, sober enough to do a show.
You celebrating your birthday next week?
Something like that. Yeah. I think it'll be next weekend. Yeah. Yep. So we have plans. So we will be back the following weekend and we will discuss Black Widow.
Maybe.
What are you doing then?
I will be on set for music videos all week.
Oh, well, I'm talking about like the 31st. That Saturday you're going to be on set? Okay. Well, we'll have to start working. We'll have to start looking at your schedule then when we come back to see what we can do. So yeah, there's that. Let me see if Big Nate is going to come back. If not, we can start working on ending the show. Any closing thoughts, Christina, on Fast 9 or
I can't wait for, what is it, Shang-Chi next? Or is What If next? I think What If starts.
Let's see when What If starts. So What If starts on, doesn't say. Why is Wikipedia failing me? August 11th. That is after saying Shang-Chi, I think, premieres, which is August 3rd, I want to say. Nope. You're right. What If is first. Shang-Chi is September 3rd.
Cool. So,
and then Eternals is after that.
And then after that is Spider-Man.
Yes. After that is Spider-Man.
Oh, no,
Eternals
wait.
is November 5th. No, Eternals is November 5th.
No, isn't Hawkeye in there somewhere?
Yes. When does Hawkeye start?
Hawkeye has to be after What If.
Well, let's see. Hawkeye starts late 2021. That's all it says.
So probably around Spider-Man time, or a little.
Yes.
Actually, probably around Eternals time. Actually.
Probably. So, let's see. Our girl, yep, Elena is going to be back.
Oh yeah. Good times. Good times.
Yep. Yes, good times indeed. So
this is a very Marvel heavy year.
Yes,
and
it is.
And it's honestly crazy because it hasn't been like this before. Like they didn't do TV shows because they were focused on the box office.
No.
But now
But they did have like 2 to 3 movies a year. And now they have the small screen, which would be Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And then they have the big screen. I'm still watching Bad Batch, slowly but surely. I'm getting through it. There are times, thankfully it's 24 minutes. There are times that I sit back and go, boy, this is like, because it reminds me of Clone Wars. Hold on, I'll be right back. You can discuss though.
But yeah, I'm excited for the next Marvel things. It's gonna be good. Loki really paved the way for a lot of everything. I think having Kang come in is really gonna play into bringing in the Fantastic Four, bringing in X-Men, because like they said, he created the first mutant, so that's gonna play into something, especially with all the universes coming around now. So that's gonna bring the X-Men into the fold. It's just gonna open a lot of doors with Kang and the whole multiverse.
Well, unfortunately, guys, there's an emergency that came up, so I need to drop off. Well, we all need to drop off. Thank you guys for joining us, and we will talk to y'all in 2 weeks, hopefully. So we'll talk to y'all later. Have a good one. Bye.